Signature campaign promises is generating more debate tonight.
It's a lingering issue that's linked to immigration reform. KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan shows us how the U.S. Supreme Court intervened today. Dave?
They did. This is not a final ruling. We've still got a ways to go before that. It's what they call an interim order. It was a victory for the Trump administration, albeit a relatively minor and technical victory. The high court blocked a lower federal court ruling on President Trump's travel ban and closed the door to about 24,000 refugees who had already been vetted and were in limbo and hoping to come to America. The battle over President Trump's temporary travel ban is far from over, but at least in a temporary sense, it has won a victory. A procedural order from the Supreme Court Tuesday will reinstate restrictions on refugees trying to enter the U.S. In an emergency order, the High Court sided with the Trump administration in refusing entry into the country by 24,000 vetted refugees, blocking a federal appeals court that ruled that those refugees should be allowed to enter the U.S. at least until the temporary ban expires in late October.
People are trying to look at the tea leaves and say, well, if the Supreme Court said that we're not going to allow these refugees to come in, then that says something about what they think about the constitutionality of the travel ban. I think that's going way too far afield.
But while it's not a ruling on the merits of the Trump travel ban, the Supreme Court is effectively setting interim guidelines until oral arguments will be heard on October 10th. Stephen Lee is a professor at UC Irvine Law School whose focus is on immigration. He says the stakes are high for those affected by the court's rulings.
These involve people, especially with the refugees, who have experienced some sort of harm, violence, and are in limbo unless and until they can get to the United States as a refugee. So I think the fact that the court is taking a look at all of the interests at stake really shows that the court is taking this idea very seriously.
President Trump says the temporary ban would protect against terrorists entering the country and carrying out attacks, while Homeland Security officials try to put together a more effective vetting system. The ban in question outlawed travel to the U.S. by people from a half-dozen mostly Muslim countries: Iran, Libya, Syria, Sudan, Yemen, and Somalia, as well as refugees. But the ban was shredded by lower federal court orders that ruled several parts of the ban were unconstitutional. And the Supreme Court isn't expected to take up the real substantive arguments about the ban for another month. But with the 90-day travel ban expiring in a few weeks and the refugee ban set to expire in late October, it's not clear what, if anything, will come from the Supreme Court's consideration, since it might be irrelevant by the time any ruling could be reached. Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson thinks it may not come to that.
Certain people in the court, like John Roberts, the Chief Justice, who thinks a lot about making sure that the Supreme Court justices don't look like politicians in robes, will try and find some place where the Supreme Court maybe unanimously can say, this is actually moot, because I don't think that he wants to get to the merits of, is the travel ban constitutional? Because then I think the court's going to break down along party lines, and that's going to be really ugly.
Now, the state of Hawaii has joined several civil rights and immigrants' rights groups in fighting the Trump travel ban in the courts. And so far, as you saw, they've been pretty successful in making their case to the federal courts. But in 4 weeks, as we mentioned, both sides will get their day in the Supreme Court. Dave Bryan, KCAL 9 News.